the hell is that?
It's a shirt. It's a band shirt supporting bands.
I'll give you a crisp dollar bill if you can tell me what the name of that band is.
Well, I'll just give you the dollar bill back because I don't even...
Do you even know?
No. It starts with an X. Xylpen.
So it's like me typing in high school.
That's exactly. That's right. Exactly what it is. And I think today we're talking about Ozzy, and I was thinking Australian. And these guys are from down under, except I found out they're not from Australia. They're from South Africa.
Yeah, it's different Aussies.
Different hemisphere.
I think you're...
So, but I know how much you like these readable logos.
Aussie, not Aussie. We can talk about Aussie bands at some point.
Yeah, we can do that.
But today we're not talking about saucy Australians.
No.
We are in fact going to talk about Aussie, but before we get to that, I would like to point out my crisp, clean logo shirt that you can read. Metal Church.
Metal Church.
Shout out. What? You're killing me here, Smalls. I would like to give a shout out to Metal Church for having a classic logo shirt. Thank you very much. Hopefully at the Lizzie Borden show, there will be a classic logo shirt. We'll see. Also, on July 26th and 27th, next to the Allen Event Center at the Courtyard by Marriott, it will be Original Vinyl Day 3, where you can find the largest Iron Maiden collection you've ever seen, including just a little bit of stage-used gear, boys and girls. Yes,
I saw about 15 or 20% of it, and it's pretty impressive.
It's amazing. So, it's in used condition. Now, we're not trying to tell you that we've got this mint museum full of stuff, but we have a lot of stuff, a lot of vintage items, blacklight posters from back in the day, posters, pins, buttons, stickers, drumsticks, tapestries, cassettes, CDs, vinyl. I mean, if they made it, we've probably got some of it. There's a door knocker, for crying out loud. Soccer ball. I mean, there's just all kinds of... Anyway.
Do you have the airplane? Did you buy the airplane yet? Oh, they're still using it.
Oh, you can't buy the airplane, but you can buy a model of the airplane.
Do you have one of those?
We do.
There you go.
We do. So come out and see us. It's sponsored by ZT Records, my good friend Phil Ramirez. That's his place over in Frisco, Texas. July 26th and 27th. Spread the word, like it, share it. Ask us any questions you have, and yeah, come see us. So we are not talking about Australians today, but we are
not Australian Aussies. We're talking about Ozzy as in Osbourne.
Correct.
Man, all this production value. Oh, I just wanted to get people to get a good look at that killer, crisp, clean logo.
Oh yeah.
So Ozzy
Yeah, let me get my
like that
stuff in order. There you go, little buddy.
Ozzy.
So, I want to tell a story first, and then we can fly through the albums.
Okay.
Disclaimer. We're not going to talk about every album. Okay?
We're not talking about...
Everybody just... We're not going to talk about every album. Just hang tight.
Do the people out there not know that this is unscripted, unrehearsed?
Right.
And we sometimes...
And we're no good. We forget.
We sometimes have not a simple clue as to what we're going to discuss.
Right.
Like the Judas Priest episode, or even the Dawkins episode, we didn't...
Yeah.
We just talk, man. We're just having a good time. That's why we ask you to join. Click, and join.
That's right.
And then throw your comments out there, and they'll give us fodder for the next one.
Speaking of Judas Priest, you're going to enjoy episode 31 coming up. Promise. You're going to like it. So what got you into Ozzy? Tell me your Ozzy story.
Well, Ozzy is because he was the singer for Black Sabbath. That was the only reason I wanted to see if he could survive on his own. And of any of the solo projects, obviously, he was the one that came out of the gates guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
I mean, those first two albums on Jet Records are classics.
So I remember going into Gibson's department store, if you're old enough to remember Gibson's. You're definitely old enough to remember Gibson's. And I remember seeing I think it's the inside of Speak of the Devil. Is the inside of Speak of the Devil where he's sitting there with the little person and the cross and he's in the chair? Is that inside of Speak of the Devil? I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well anyway, there was a poster of him sitting in this big chair and he had the big metal cross and he had crap falling out of his mouth and all that. Mm-hmm. So that was my first visual memory of Ozzy. But the first time I really heard Ozzy, I probably had heard a few songs and didn't realize it. I'd probably heard maybe Flying High Again
Over
or
the Mountain
The
or
Crazy Train or something, probably on the radio. And didn't
Bark at the Moon.
wasn't putting two and two together. Well, this was before that. So this would have been 82-ish. We used to ride our bikes around this car wash in town because there was so much to do in my little town of 750. And I remember knowing about Ozzy, but not really hearing it. And I was scared of him. I was like, oh man, this guy's into Satan worship or whatever, and I was really, he's evil. And somebody had unwound a Diary of a Madman tape and wound it around the cassette, and it was in the trash, sitting right on top of the trash, I'll never forget, at this car wash. And so I took it home and put it in a different cassette where it would, I took the screws out and put the cassette back together, and I played this Ozzy tape, and I lost it, man. It was so awesome, and it was evil, and it was cool, and it was dark, and I just loved it. And so that was really my opening the door into the world of Ozzy's music. And it started with Diary of a Madman and a broken cassette tape that was in a car wash trash can. So
Well, it was interesting too because the whole Sabbath vibe was a little more down-tuned and heavy and whatever. And the Ozzy vibe, it was almost like he was this unbridled animal trying to get out of a cage because the stuff was heavier and it was faster.
it was a little more traditional, what would become American kind of heavy metal,
right.
even though he's obviously not American.
The crazy thing about it is that I knew Ozzy would succeed because he was the voice of Black Sabbath, and if for nothing else he could just sound like his version of Black Sabbath. I was more worried about. I thought that Black Sabbath was dead at that point, and we all know the recovery with Ronnie James Dio and blah blah blah. But we've had another episode on that. But let's talk about Ozzy. I don't know. I thought that maybe taking a break away from music for a while and then coming back fresh, I thought that helped. Because, those records are... it's like every song is great.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, I started at Diary of a Madman and went backwards. So we'll fly through some of the albums here. So, Blizzard of Oz, just an instant classic. This is the first shot out of the gate. And it's just amazing, man. I don't know. Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solutions on here. I skipped D. Mr. Crowley, No Bone Movies, Steal Away the Night. This thing is good start to finish.
I agree.
It's not my favorite Ozzy album.
Gosh.
That's next. Again. But here we go again. But this was a great warning shot, man.
Yeah.
This was a sign of things to come. And what a band. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
Randy Rhoads on guitar.
Is that
hang on, I'm gonna
too
get
early
this
for
wrong.
Rudy Sarzo, Randy Castillo, Tommy Aldrich?
Hold on. Randy on guitars, Bob Daisley
Okay.
on bass, and Lee Kerslake on drums.
Okay. Get Uriah Heep, fellas.
Man, great record. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I agree.
Anything to chime in?
I like it. I like the fact that he still maintained his persona as Ozzy with the peace sign.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, everybody thing. You knew that was Ozzy, and it was like an uncompromising debut of himself.
Right. And it was scary. It was risky. He didn't lose any of that from Sabbath. You got the cross and the skull and the...
But notice the crosses are right side up, so don't be too
Right. But that was that's a good record.
If you're into that, it's just all stuffed.
Now we're talking.
Okay.
This, to me, is the best Ozzy record, bar none. You can chime in, Goat, if you want.
Yeah,
we have off-camera Goat here with us, too.
Yeah, we have just our fact checker.
I would agree with that statement.
Our Mythbuster is here.
The Mythbuster agrees that Diary of a Madman is the best Ozzy solo record.
I absolutely love this. It was a little heavier, a little scarier. It was just so freaking cool, man. This is one of those albums that I sat there and I looked at the artwork 1,000 times, and I tried to read stuff in the poster on the back wall, and I tried to figure out what happened to the kid, and oh my gosh, I just loved it, and I poured over the lyrics and just really listened to this a lot, and I thought it was outstanding. I still think it's outstanding. Did the same guys play on this one? can't remember, and of course I can't read because I don't have my glasses. So then you got 2 shots out of the gate, greatness, just amazing stuff. I would love to have seen a tour. There's not a ton of footage out there. I've searched everything for everything I can find, and it's just greatness, man. I just love the stage show on this tour. Randy's playing, I think, is amazing. I've got some guitar player friends that think that he's overrated, but man, I thought he was awesome. I
think that their overrated opinion is overrated.
Here's what I'm talking about. What do you think about this?
I love this album. In fact, I have.
Speak of the devil.
I actually have some footage from live from the Salt Palace in Salt Lake, and guess who's in it?
Brad Gillis.
Yes, but guess who else is in it when they pan the crowd into about the 6th or 7th row?
Your mom.
Well, no, not my mom, but
But close.
someone close to my mom. Yes, there I am in my porn mustache, glasses, and hair parted down the middle. Yes, I admit it. I was a kid
I
of
need
the
to
80s.
see this.
And I'll bring it up and
Okay,
you can
I
find
wanna
that
see
little
it.
snippet. But I love this record.
I'm in a Garth Brooks video.
The what I don't like about this is I bought the video, and none of these songs are on this. It's not the same set list.
Wait, what?
It's all new. Yeah, if you buy "Speak of the Devil" on video, it's all Ozzy songs.
Huh.
There's 1 or 2 Black Sabbath, but the reason I love this is he was like, yeah, this is Black Sabbath played like Ozzy wants it played. And so I love this. So I bought the video because live stuff, I typically love the visual also.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sadly disappointed.
I think I have a bootleg of that or something. I'll have to check that out. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize when this came out that it was all Sabbath songs. I was very early in my metal infancy, so some of this to me I didn't realize that was the case. But this is a great album. Brad Gillis, the great Brad Gillis.
From Night Ranger, a poser band. Huh? Just like Wanger, like one of them bands.
Man, they suck.
They suck, man.
They can't play. Rob. McNeese. We'll show you a thing or two, sir. So, Brad Gillis plays on this. I remember seeing some video of it, and they barely showed him, and that really bothered me because he crushed on this. You're stepping into an impossible job, fulfilling an impossible task, and you're playing Sabbath and Randy tracks, and he did a fantastic job.
Tommy Aldrich, Rudy Sarzo, and Brad Gillis. I mean, now
What
that's
a great band.
and produced by Max Norman, so you know it's gonna sound awesome.
Made with bits of Real Panther, so you know it's good. Yeah, this is cool,
At least
man.
It's not Steel Panther.
This is
but
one
I
of the
digress.
coolest live albums ever. I love it. I didn't realize the video was different, so I'm going to check that out this afternoon. But anyway,
I can.
Boom.
I'll bring it next time I come by.
now we're coming back to another. I've got these little out of order here. This came out years later, but also another great album is Tribute with Randy Rhoads on it, and man, this thing is good. Mostly Ozzy songs, a few Sabbath songs. I absolutely love this record, man. This is another one that I bought back in the day. I bought the vinyl, I think was the first thing I had. And I remember looking because of the mystique and the mysteriousness around Randy's death. And, I just wanted to soak up anything I could get to hear what he was all about and how he played and how he sounded. And this was just a really good...
It was a very kind reminder of how
of
great
his
he was.
legacy. That's exactly right. The pictures inside are amazing. There's a lot of tour photos and some cool notes by his mom. And, man, if you've never picked this up, which I can't imagine anybody's watching this that has not seen or heard this, but don't miss this thing. Yeah, I'm out of order here, but whatever. It's a great album. It's a great, exactly what it says, a tribute to his legacy.
It's greatness for me too, and I have it on several different types of pressings. I have a Japanese pressing. I have a really, really nice Dutch vinyl pressing that I don't want to play because it looks so pretty just looking at the vinyl, but I have another copy that I do play. But yeah, just outstanding. That's so anybody that thinks Rhoads was a little overrated, You may
Listen
wanna,
to this.
You may want to reconsider that.
So, moving on, Bark at the Moon. The thing that's cool about this was, I remember this was in the heyday of video. The heyday of music videos. Ozzy was doing, he had the Bark at the Moon video where he's dressed up like the werewolf. The Rock and Roll Rebel video was good. There was another one, though, I thought. Is Rock and Roll Rebel the one where he's the oil guy in the cowboy hat and everything?
No.
I can't remember.
That's on No Rest for the Wicked.
The different...
No rest for the wicked,
That's the
according to our fact checker. Uh-oh.
Yeah, anyway. The Mythbuster, he'll set us straight. We'll get to it. I don't remember what.
Eventually we'll get it right. Even if we have to have a different episode.
Oh, it's on
on
here.
this.
It's on here. Yeah, okay. So Bark at the Moon, to me, this was a sleeper record for me. And the GOAT actually changed my mind on this one and the next one. These two albums are chock full of greatness that I did not pay attention to back in the day. All I wanted to hear was Bark at the Moon, and all I wanted to hear was Rock and Roll Rebel. And I wore those out. But You're No Different is good. Now You See It is good. Center of Eternity, So Tired, Slow Down, Waiting. I mean, this is a great record, and I panned it for many years. I admit it. I have circled back to this in the last decade or so, and I really love it. I listen to it all the way through.
Who's the band?
Jakey Lee's on guitar.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just greatness.
Okay, so one thing we can say about Ozzy, that it didn't matter who was in the band, they were always going to be great.
Right.
And so, yeah, if I can't have Randy Rhoads or Brad Gillis, okay, Jakey Lee, that'll work.
Yeah. Who else was on this
Good
thing?
record.
It was...
Was Sarzo?
Oh, Tommy Aldridge on
Yeah.
drums, Don Airy on keyboards, Bob Daisley on
bass.
bass. Yeah, and Jakey Lee.
Man, they're really pegging the Uriah Heep guys.
Yeah,
Good.
great album. And this one, okay, this is your favorite, right? Or close to it?
Of the latter stuff, yeah. Or middle stuff.
So, I really hated this when it came out. I did.
What the?
I didn't like it at all. I did
Wait,
not.
this is a family show. See?
I did not like it at all. And the GOAT and I got into an argument one morning at work about whether this album was any good or not. And I was doing the whole, "No, man, that album sucks. I don't like it." And he gave me the challenge, "You need to go back and listen to it." And when the GOAT charges you with something, you do it. You listen. The GOAT corrects you because you're wrong. And so I went back, and this is another one that was massive because of the videos. Holy cow, the videos on this album. The Ultimate Sin and that stupid sequin coat and all that crap. I had still not seen him in concert to this point. That would have been a fun tour to see. But, man, it is a good album. The GOAT was right.
That was Shelley Winters, Ozzy.
Shelley Winters, Ozzy.
When Ozzy looked like Shelley Winters. And yes, I'm old enough to know who Shelley Winters is.
Who's on this? Okay, so we've switched out. We've got Phil Soussan and Randy Castillo. Randy Castillo was amazing. He was so good.
He was pretty solid.
Dude.
Nothing too fancy. He sort of reminded me of a little slowed down version of Scott Travis. Just a super solid, rudimentary. Rudiments were killer. You knew he was never going to miss a beat, miss a fill, miss a run.
I liked him a lot. I thought he was fantastic.
And sorry to see him go. He was pretty solid.
Tragedy.
He was a good anchor. But no, I can't say anything. I mean, this is like one of my favorites, and like our Mythbuster says, of the latter stuff, I think this is probably my favorite. And that first track, I mean, you can't deny the heaviness of it. But
no, and the lyrical content is good too. I mean, he's saying stuff on here just like in the old Sabbath days. They were talking about issues, man, and things that were concerning in the world.
There is a lot less evil and a lot more. Well, unless you think the world is evil, which we could make a case for that too. But
we'll do that on our political show someday.
Yeah, because we're all into politics.
But this dug deep as far as what was going on in the world at that time, and it was a good snapshot of what he was thinking. So good record. Now, Game changer is about to happen.
Uh-oh. We even got a look from over the leather chair.
Guitar playing, if it can go to another level, it's about to. Because a match made in heaven is about to happen, and you're going to get the greatness of Zakk Wylde. So you've got Zakk, Randy, Bob Daisley, and I can't read the rest because of my old eyes, and I'm not going to try to.
I'm on the young side of 70, so I could probably help you out.
A youthful 77, is what I heard.
77.
Okay, so no rest for the wicked. Again with the videos. Ozzy is capitalizing on the videos. That is a solid album. And you have a very young Zakk Wylde on that. And you did not miss a beat from Jakey Lee. No offense to Jakey Lee, but you're right. Ozzy, hot shot guitar player. Just knock them down, man. Put them in a row, and every one of them is good.
I think Miracle Man, the opening track, harkens back to his early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fast-paced, kind of that Bark at the Moon style almost. I can't say that there's a bad track on here. I don't know why it's not my favorite. It's solid, but it's not my favorite.
This is the one that if somebody were challenging me on this, I would give them the GOAT treatment and say, you need to go back and you need to re-listen to this. It's darker. It's heavier. Bloodbath in Paradise is great.
That's a good song.
My favorite song on here is a slow song, Fire in the Sky. It kind of builds up. It's brooding. It's dark. It's heavy. It's really, really good, man. But you can't beat Miracle Man, Devil's Daughter. Man, what a cool album. If you missed this one or you haven't paid enough attention to it, dig deep on this album. You won't be disappointed.
No, as we do on many of these releases, I'll go back and I'll check it out tonight when I get home. And anyway,
now
we have to talk about these.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm about to prove to you that this is Ozzy's second best album.
Okay. Change my mind.
No,
we're getting a vehement shaking of no.
This is what the GOAT is doing right now.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm going to have to side with the GOAT.
Zip.
Zip.
You must zip it. Okay. This record put on... If Ozzy was off the map at all, which I don't think there's any proof of that, this cemented Ozzy Osbourne as a kingpin of heavy metal, and the reason is the songwriting. I firmly believe that the addition of Mike Inez on bass upped the game in the songwriting department and made this Ozzy's second best album, second only to Diary of a Madman, in my opinion. You've got Zakk Wylde at full strength, at full stride. You've got Mike Inez, who I think was heavily influential on the songwriting. Mr. Tinker Train, I Don't Want to Change the World, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Desire, No More Tears. Are you kidding me? Hellraiser. Motorhead covered that.
Okay. You might have a point. You might have a point.
Dude, Road to Nowhere. There are so many hits on this album, and you have hits, like it or not. I don't care if you like the music or not. You have hits because of good songwriting. And this has the most hits of anything Ozzy ever did. Every other album, you might have 2 videos, a couple of hits, if you will. But this thing crushes in the songwriting department. That's it. Prove me wrong.
I'll go home and listen to it again. But all those songs you were naming, I'm like, yeah.
The production is amazing.
Who produced it? No, nobody we know. Dwayne Barron.
I don't know.
John Purdell. Never heard of him. Anyway, I'll have to go try it on. I used to think "Mama, I'm Coming Home." I thought that was a Motley Crue song for some stupid reason because it was
it kind of is
in that same vein. But No More Tears, yeah.
Well, and Ozzy's in shape on this tour. You know, he had gotten himself sober for a while, and he was in great shape. I saw him at the Bronco Bowl with the great RPH2, and they crushed it, man. Zakk was so good. It was just a great tour, and that was the No More Tours tour, lest we forget, 30 years ago almost.
Oh, you mean like Kiss's final tour in '99?
Yeah. So anyway, I love that record. And then, in my opinion, we get into not a bad thing. You get into the AC/DC, the Motorhead syndrome. You start putting out the same album over and over and over. That's not a bad thing. But once Ozzy got this formula on osmosis, he stuck with it with Black Rain and all the albums that came out after this. So we're skipping a lot of Ozzy material. My apologies. But in my opinion, this is a pretty stinking good album. Perry Mason, I Just Want You, See You on the Other Side. Oh my gosh, these are great songs. What do you... Has that got anything for you?
No. I don't even. I'm not even sure I own this. Probably not. I just after No More Tears, I think I was kind of done, and I haven't bought anything since. But I mean, there's no doubting his greatness. I mean, he's got it figured out. He's wildly experienced in how to write songs that sell, and we've talked about popularity as it relates to what's a hit song and what's not a hit song. I mean, you can strip it down to mathematics and what is a hit and what is a good song. They're two different things half the time. But that being said, as I just mentioned, I'll probably find a copy of this and go listen to it, whether on YouTube or just go find a cheap copy, support a brick and mortar store somewhere.
It's good. It's not great, and all the rest of them I think fall into that same kind of formula. There's 2 or 3 really great songs, and then it just kind of it's all Ozzy. It's all solid, but once they hit this formula right here with the production and the songwriting, it just stamp. They kept putting the same album out over and over again.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to say that's a terrible thing, but to keep me interested. I don't know. I wanted something a little different.
Well, and times have changed too. I mean, I remember when his last release came out, they said, "Well, he sold almost 12,000 copies," and they were all excited about it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
times have changed.
When have you ever been excited about moving 12,000 units unless you were a garage band that put out a 3-song tape?
Right.
You know, but life is different with the downloading thing and the touring. I mean, most bands make their cash off of touring and merch and selling posters and what have you, or selling books.
That's right.
Okay, and if you want to know more about the Ozman, all the way from his time in Black Sabbath to now, this would be a good reference for you. It's very honest. It's amazing that the guy's even still around. There's some other books that I brought with me that are just, you can find books on Black Sabbath. The Mickey Wall books on them are really awesome. They dig deep into the personalities behind the music. These are probably the 2 best. Plus, there's one called Rat Salad that goes through each of the first 7 Ozzy Black Sabbath records.
That's cool.
Really super awesome. It's an easy read too. But these guys, I mean, popularity screws people up. I mean, these guys were basically paupers. They made a ton of money. They used a ton of drugs. When you start reading about the Black Sabbath budget for next year, and they're including $270,000 for cocaine, you start to wonder about the direction of the band and the sanity of the people involved. And so sometimes I like it when they take some time off and they regress a little bit, or they get cleaned up or get their act together, as my father would say, and then they come out with a new look. Like, to your point, the last several releases have been formulaic, and I think that's maybe Ozzy trying to stay in tune with his sobriety.
Well, and at some point, does Ozzy really need any new music out there? He's got so much history to draw from that he could do a greatest hits tour for the rest of his life, and I think everyone would be happy with that. But you touched on a minute ago, you said something about tours, and I want to bring something up. Ozzy never took doormats out on tour.
No.
Ozzy took Metallica out on tour.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember, but he took some major players out and gave them exposure, unlike Kiss, who always seemed to take out a doormat. I don't know if they were afraid that somebody was going to,
outplay them
or upstage them or whatever. But Ozzy didn't care. Ozzy took out great bands, and that Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. I saw in
You
Salt
know,
Lake.
yeah. I mean,
Sepultura.
yeah. I mean, he just was not afraid, and if it didn't exactly match the style, whatever. I mean, Metallica and Ozzy, that was two very different things on the Master of
Well, look
Puppets
at the
tour.
Ozfest. Just look at the very makeup of Ozfest. I mean, you talk about diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from System of a Down to Motorhead. I mean, just crazy, crazy genre melding. But it didn't matter, and it was more of a European feel. I think that those early Ozfests. I mean, I can't think of except for maybe the Us Festival,
Yeah.
which was a massive, massive undertaking. But those Ozfests that were reoccurring, that eventually led to Mayhem
Right.
Fest, which was short-lived, unfortunately. Um, you don't have anything like that, but that was directly because Ozzy wanted to. Ozzy just loved to play. He needed a safe venue to do it, so why not have a huge fest like they do in Europe? I mean, we hear every year about Wacken and Grass Pop and Summer Breeze and Hellfest and Castle Donington and on and on and on and on. What do we hear about in the States?
Nothing anymore.
I mean, we're excited if we can go to Denver and see Havoc and Violence in December.
If you need a ride, he's going.
I'm going.
So-
Shout out to Phil Demmel.
Yeah. So everybody owes a little something to Uncle Ozzy, man. That guy took so many people out. So many people owe him because he was a showman, man. Who had done it bigger and better before that? Alice Cooper.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, but Ozzy did it all. He saw it all. Was he the greatest singer ever? Nope. But he was a great showman. Was he the best frontman ever? Nope. But he was a great showman. He had the package. And you got a full show, whether he was dumping confetti on you, or water on you, or biting the heads off of bats, or, putting that dude in the guillotine. I mean, what a great show. He borrowed from his predecessors, but he also blazed a trail on his own as a frontman and a showman for rock and roll, and he's one of the best ever.
Well, and wasn't he an integral part? Wasn't the Ozfest sort of a platform for Black Sabbath's original member reunion?
Back
in the 90s.
I
They
think
said,
so.
here, play a couple of one-off shows with me. I think Ozfest was 9 or 15 shows, or it wasn't like a massive,
Yeah.
4-month tour or whatever. And so because of that, look what we got. I mean, I remember when Priest got back together. They played at Ozfest in San Antonio, and the next night played with Slayer and Zakk Wylde, another Ozzy connection, in the Woodlands in Houston.
Yeah.
So because of the, say what you want, we can go on and on about Sharon and all that, but Ozzy is the reason for a lot of these great ideas. And so shout out to Uncle Ozzy.
Shout out to Uncle Ozzy.
He's a crazy dude, but you know what? We kind of like a little crazy.
Yeah. Shout out to the GOAT. Shout out to the great Richie Harris. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for paying attention. And if you don't want to look at our ugly mugs, pull up the YouTube app on your phone and listen to us in the car. And if you don't want to do that,
Then you can't see all the
that's
stuff I'm
okay.
doing behind Rob's back while he's talking, while he's concentrating on the camera.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, until next time, that was episode 30. Ozzy. We love you, Oz. We're not worthy. No, that was an Alice
I
Cooper
love you,
thing.
everybody.
I love you all. Thank you. Until
Metal
next
will
time.
prevail.
Metal will prevail. That was me banging that off the bat.
I like it.